In today's video, we are at Bonorong Wildlife Sanctuary. We booked the night tour, which is a 2.5-hour long tour that happens after the park closes for the day. Bonorong is not a zoo, it's a sanctuary with the goal of educating the public and the rehabilitation and release of injured and orphaned animals. The first part of the tour is feeding the kangaroos. The only species of kangaroo found on Tasmania is the forester kangaroo. These guys are a subspecies of the eastern grey kangaroo and the state's largest marsupial. Adult males can stand over 2 meters or 6.5 feet tall and weigh more than 60 kilograms or 132 pounds. They have a thick, dense fur which is often thicker than their mainland relatives to help handle Tasmania's cooler climate. While they were never completely extinct in Tasmania, their population was severely reduced due to habitat loss and hunting after European settlement. By the early 1900s, intensive hunting for meat and skins, along with land clearing for agriculture, caused the population to plummet. But after years of conservation work, the population now has stabilized at approximately 26,000.
Abby just loves this. I think this was her favorite part of Cleveland.
Yes.
It's maybe her favorite part of all of these little wildlife sanctuaries is being able to feed them. Look at his little chin. He's got food on his chin.
Oh, are you messy?
Oh, no.
I'm messy too. I usually need like 3 or 4 napkins. Oh, they said that they like the front of their chest scratched. It's so cute. I've got his bone.
Oh, Abby's got 2. She's got 2 of them to eat out of her hand at the same time.
Oh my God.
So cute. Abby can't keep them away. They are hungry tonight.
Okay, hold on. Here.
Oh my goodness.
Look at how far over he's bent.
Yeah, his little front leg is all bent over this feeding trough.
I have kangaroo slobber all over my hand.
That's crazy.
Look at this boy.
This is a big one
Or I'm
too.
assuming it's a boy.
We just all call him all boys.
Hi. You like being scratched?
Oh, it's so sweet.
Do you like being scratched? I don't have anything, baby.
We're out of food. Oh, he wants to scratch you right there. That's where he wants to scratch. Oh, now he's scratching his
You are so cute.
That's so funny.
How cute you are. After feeding the kangaroos, we made our way over to the birdhouse. Here you will find multiple different species of bird, but my personal favorite are the cockatoos, and they even have an albino cockatoo named Tweety.
She was found as a fledgling out in the wild, brought through our rescue service, and we kind of deemed that it wouldn't be possible for her to be released back out into the wild. So she is being raised in captivity as an ambassador for her species. Normally she would be all black with a few yellow tail feathers, but because she's albino, all that black's gone, the yellow underneath is coming through. She's about 2 years of age at the moment. So yeah, Fred is 111. He's actually had 2 owners throughout his life. And the second owner left him to the sanctuary when they passed away, left him in their will. Being around for that long though, it means that Fred has seen more than anyone when you think about it, which is kind of amazing. He's picked up a few phrases. He does like to talk. Apparently he does like to swear, but I've only ever heard that a couple of times. But what's your name? My name's Fred. Scratch Cocky, Cocky want a cracker, g'day mate, all that kind of stuff. He's a really kind of a larrikin around the park. Everyone knows who he is. When he turned 100 back in 2014, he actually got a letter from the Queen congratulating him on being a centenarian, which was pretty cool. The oldest in captivity was about 120. All signs are pointing to him actually going above that. There's nothing really happening with him that suggests he won't.
Oh, is this for me? Oh, thank you. He just gave me a little twig. What is this for? Here. Let me give you this back. There you go. You dropped it. Oh my goodness. Bye-bye.
Next, we made our way over to the short-beaked echidnas. Unlike their mainland relatives, Tasmania echidnas have a thicker, longer fur that partially or sometimes completely conceals their spine. This extra hair provides crucial insulation against the cold. Echidnas are incredibly special in the fact that they lay eggs. They are one of only 2 types of mammals in the world to do so, with the other being the platypus. Together, these 2 unique animals are classified as monotremes. A female echidna lays a single soft-shelled egg. The female then rolls the egg into a temporary pouch on her belly. After just 10 days of incubation in the pouch, the baby, called a puggle, hatches. The tiny baby uses a temporary egg tooth to break through the shell. Even though they lay eggs like reptiles or birds, echidnas meet all the core requirements of being a mammal. They have fur, they are warm-blooded, and they produce milk to nourish their young. So they're super unique. And, in my opinion, super cute. Just look at that little face. Moving on to the spotted-tailed quoll, also called the tiger quoll. They are the world's 2nd largest carnivorous marsupials, outsized only by the Tasmanian devil. While many quoll species are struggling on mainland Australia and are considered endangered, Tasmania remains a virtual refuge for them. For its size, it has one of the strongest bites of any predator mammal in the world, capable of crushing bone. As an apex predator and a scavenger, the quoll acts as a critical ecosystem regulator, maintaining the health and balance of Tasmania's forests. They hunt rodents like rats and mice, and in some areas they help to keep rabbit populations also in check, which helps to reduce their overgrazing of native plants. Being nocturnal, they are frequently victims of vehicle strikes when crossing roads or scavenging roadkill. So if you're visiting Tasmania, be sure to slow down between dusk and dawn and keep an eye out for these guys. Now we were able to feed the Tasmanian devil, and I have absolutely fallen in love with these little guys.
We can grab a bit of food. Hold it over. Yeah, there you go. Good boy. And he's going to try and grab a bit of food off the end of the tongs. I've got, what have I got? 1. Yeah, I know, mate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
They are the world's largest surviving carnivorous marsupial, and they are found in the wild only on the island of Tasmania. The devils are scavengers. They play a vital role in the ecosystem by eating entire carcasses, including fur and bones. This can help prevent the spread of disease. Early European settlers gave them the name devil after hearing their blood-curdling scream and growls coming from the dark bush at night. When they finally saw the animal with its black fur, wide jaws, and ears that flush a bright red when agitated, the name stuck. Tasmanian devils are currently listed as endangered. Their biggest threat is the devil facial tumor disease, DFTD, a rare and contagious cancer that spreads through biting during social interactions. Since its discovery in 1996, the wild population has plummeted by roughly 80%. To save the Tasmanian devil, conservationists have established a disease-free insurance population in mainland zoos and island sanctuaries to prevent total extinction. Simultaneously, scientists have developed vaccines and immunotherapies to help the devil's immune system recognize and fight the cancer, while also observing that natural genetic resistance as some wild populations begin to evolve and survive the disease on their own. While wild numbers haven't fully rebounded to their pre-disease levels, the population decline has significantly slowed and started to stabilize. Estimates currently place the wild population between 15,000 to 17,000 individuals. While this is a slight decrease from 2021 levels, scientists believe the population is beginning to level off. Experts predict that the population will reach its lowest point of about 12,000 devils by 2030 before fully stabilizing. Perhaps the most significant rebound is genetic. Researchers now believe that the epidemic has shifted from a fast-moving plague to an endemic disease that the species can actually live with. The devils are rapidly evolving to be more resistant to the tumors, and some individuals are even showing the ability to fight off the cancer without human help. Tasmanian devils have a notably short life cycle, which significantly impacts how they respond and recover from environmental pressures like this disease. In the wild, healthy devils typically live for 5 to 6 years. In captivity, they can reach 8 years or more. Females give birth once a year to a massive litter of 20 to 40 tiny young. But despite the large number born, a mother only has 4 teats in her pouch, and sadly, only the first 4 babies to reach the pouch and latch on will survive. Because devils only have 1 breeding season per year and a maximum of 4 surviving young per litter, they cannot rebound as quickly as animals that breed multiple times a year. On the positive side, if at least 2 or 4 young survive from every female's single breeding effort, the population can maintain a baseline stability even if adult survival rates remain low. If you are visiting or living in Tasmania, your behavior on the road is one of the biggest factors in devil survival, and that's slowing down at night. Devils are nocturnal and often will scavenge the roadkill, making them highly vulnerable to becoming roadkill themselves. Reducing speed between dusk and dawn is the most effective way to prevent roadkill.
Yeah, that one. And so then what we'll do, wherever he is, he's just down here.
He's down here.
Yeah, he'll go up to you down that way.
Come here, baby.
Hey, Dwara.
Come here, baby.
Mate. Right there.
baby.
That's it. Good boy.
Oh, good baby.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, he's chewing through the bone a little bit. So these guys, for the size of the animal they are, it's what happens when they find something to eat. They actually gorge themselves. They eat as much as they possibly can. So in about half an hour, they eat 40% of their body weight. The average weight of a male devil is about 10 to 12 kilograms. So in half an hour, they're eating about 3 kilos worth of food. What they do is they store fat in the base of their tail. So just where he's got that white blaze above the top of his tail there, yes, that's my finger. They store fat there and it sort of becomes a bit bulbous. So when there's not as much food around, they can draw on those fat reserves to help sustain them through to their next meal. But they are always looking for food pretty much every 7 days. And the way that they actually find their food, and this plays into why they're not very good at hunting, is with their sense of smell. They can smell for over 2 kilometres. Their eyesight is terrible. They can only see about 1 metre in front of themselves. Beyond that, everything's quite blurry and they do see in black and white. So eyesight, very bad. So the idea of them hunting and stalking their prey, just not going to happen. But using that sense of smell to find anything that's passed away that they might want to munch on, very, very strong sense of smell.
The sanctuary does have wombats, and they do amazing work with the wombats, but we were unlucky in that these little guys did not want to come out of their burrow, so sadly we didn't get to see them.
It's a little wet.
If this weather had been better, it would be amazing.
I know, this would be amazing, but it's been raining a lot.
The last animal of the tour is the eastern quoll. They are small carnivorous marsupials that for nearly 60 years was found only on the island of Tasmania. While once common across southeastern mainland Australia, they were declared extinct on the mainland in the 1960s due to predation by introduced foxes, diseases, and habitat loss. Since 2016, there has been a massive effort to bring them back to mainland Australia through reintroduction programs, but they are still considered endangered. They are a nocturnal hunter, so they come out at night to forage. Their diet is incredibly varied. While they primarily eat insects like grasshoppers and beetles, they also hunt small prey like mice, birds, reptiles, and will even scavenge dead animals.
No.
Come here. You want some food?
That's a good
Oh. That's so cute.
Even though it rained at the sanctuary, we still loved our time there, and the rain made for such a dreamy sunset. And as Dolly Parton says, everybody wants happiness, nobody wants pain, but you can't have a rainbow without a little rain. I've loved learning about these amazing animals, and if you ever find yourself in Tasmania, make time to visit the wildlife sanctuaries. They are doing such amazing work. I hope you'll subscribe. Our next video is in Sydney, where we ring in the new year by celebrating on the water in the harbor. It was such a bucket list night, that's for sure. Thank you guys so much for your continued support.